Hello, and thank you for joining us for this live edition of Transcending Ascension. Today, we are here to discuss all topics of ascension and personal growth. But really, we're here to test my internet because I've direct wired it in, and we're going to see if it cuts out. Because it's time that stopped happening, and I'm taking the steps to make sure it doesn't. Because in our growth, in our ascension, we have to always look for the avenues that we have to better ourselves. Where in our lives are there moments for growth? And they could be all kinds of little things. If you have something that you want to do in your life, whatever that is. So for me, that's bringing live streams to a live audience. I enjoy it. It does something for me. It partly I want people to know this information, but as I've talked to other spiritual people, not everybody wants to have a show and have a podcast. It is within my nature that is my thing. And Robin Williams talks about the energy of a crowd. I think it ties right into my empathic nature and how that energy flows for me. But for you, that's whatever that is for you. There's lots of people getting into homesteading. There's lots of people writing. There's lots of people doing all these different modalities that are bringing more truth and more genuine nature into the world. But in our endeavors doing this, we need to find the areas within ourselves where we clean up and adjust where we can. So it's funny because earlier today I was just reading by Alan Watt. He says that the birthing, and this is back in the 60s or the 50s when he wrote this, because it was a collection of essays, that intelligence comes with anxiety. The rise in anxiety is from the rise in intelligence. And think about it, if that's in the 50s and 60s, imagine where it is now. It's still jams. Well, I did my part. I don't know what else I can do because it's the dish. But we have to always find the areas we can to fix. I tried. It's direct wired in, and I might have broke the Wi-Fi on the computer doing it. I don't know how, but I did. I can't get the Wi-Fi back on working. So that's something else I'll have to address. And he talks about, intelligence, anxiety, and he talks about people escaping their anxiety by not using their intelligences. This is why you can find people in seemingly dumb jobs, something you wouldn't want to do, but they do it because they get to escape the work themselves. This is why, for better example, why small companies will allow themselves to be bought out by bigger companies, because the amount of paperwork required, bureaucracy, all these silly things that we don't want to be bothered with, they give us anxiety. So all these things that give us anxiety, we avoid. And by avoiding them, usually what ends up happening is you hand away your power to somebody else, or you avoid it and just don't do it. Either way, progress is not being made. When we allow the anxiety to just be anxiety, to just perhaps even be a fuel, I know it can feel negative, but as we are progressing past our dualistic way of thinking, our mindsets, we don't need to see good, bad. We can see pleasant, unpleasant, but then still utilize that as fuel, because darkness is fuel. It's in sci-fi shows, dark matter is a fuel source for the spaceships. Darkness is fuel. And so our anxiety and those negative feelings we have around our anxiety, because I'm riddled with it and I didn't like it either, and I would do all kinds of things to avoid it, right? That's why I used to drink. That's, it's long in the past, but it's not like the anxiety went with it. I could get rid of depression. Depression is if you're stuck in repression. If you are repressing yourself in any way, shape, or form, that's going to bring you anxiety. But anxiety, that's going to bring you depression. But anxiety is actually just natural. And hearing Alan Watts say that, it doesn't mean it's a guarantee, but I can tell you, I've been doing spiritual work and everything for a very, very long time. And yes, when you get into a meditative space, you alleviate the anxiety as is. But the second you get back into using your intellect, into living in the regular world, that anxiety is coming back at you. So we have to just learn to make friends with that anxiety, to be like, okay, I see you, because it's your intelligence seeing all the variables. It's your intelligence going, oh my God, what about this? What about that? What about this? What about that? What about this? And it creates like a chaotic feedback loop. Like in a cartoon, if two characters are fighting, the dusty circular trail that happens above them, if you remember those old cartoons, that's like our anxiety when we are processing this information. But I like what Alan Watts said, like it's a byproduct. It's going to happen if we're using our intellect. If we, like, let's avoid it. Like you hear you hear this even in places that think they're doing you a favor, put it that way, where they're like, just clear your mind, just listen to the divine. Well, guess what? You're handing your power away still, even if it's the divine. Yes, you want to listen to the higher self. Yes, you can find a part of you, the direct you, at a higher scope, but it's still you, because there's giving it fully away to future self or gods, goddesses, whatever you want to call the thing that you're handing it off to, galactic federations. That's not good. But if you can find the highest part of you, that maybe you're not that part all the time, but you have lived reality as that part, that's the part you want to set at the top. You're the boss self, because it's shown itself to be the most mature and balanced part of you. But at the same time, you want to honor all the selves. We're filled with many archetypes. We're filled with multiple variants of astrology. There is so much complex nature within us, the human, and that's okay. But we need to learn to manage that as we progress further into society, into an upgraded reality, because handing away the power, handing away everything so you don't have to think about it. So some boss person thinks about it for you. Some higher entity thinks about it for you. A parent thinks about it for you, or even a child, if you've gotten to that place with your children, thinks about it for you. I could keep repeating myself and naming other things that will think for you, but you need to stop letting things think for you so that you don't have to feel anxiety. Just get comfortable with the anxiety and work out a system that's perfect for you on discussing the matter with yourself. And then learn to go to things like the DMV or the passport. I'm waiting on getting all of the kids' passports. And honestly, it's not even the paperwork of the passport that stresses me out, because I used to once upon a time. It's getting them to sit still for perfect pictures. I can't imagine getting them to sit still for perfect pictures, but that's something I got to figure out, because we need passports. And whatever the thing is for you, that's that next step, that next layer of reality that's waiting for you to live your higher and best self. So for me, as we're doing right now, was trying to get the internet to work better. It's cut out once. I guess that could be better than normal, and it was only briefly. But so this might be better. I might have made it just better. But do I need to stay on the drawing board to keep fixing it and keep fixing it? Because we already got the new internet, as I talk about all the time, Starlink. But it even was better, because once upon a time, my older videos, it's all fuzzy. The whole time it's so fuzzy. But I like doing lives. It's that Robin Williams thing. I love the lives. I love having you guys here. I love that you guys can ask me questions. If you guys have questions, go ahead. Ascension or personal development topics. Like, I'm keen on the psyche and helping people dig that out, whatever it is. Like, I love being here. That's my thing. And so I'm working on perfecting my thing, whatever that might be. Once upon a time, that was taking this humongous desk the computer's on and turning it around. So I have the proper light coming at me, because again, look at old videos. You could see that I tried painting the windows. I tried putting stuff up on the windows. Like, we rig-a-majig our way through life in whatever makes it a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better. So you might have huge, big dreams. And in this all is mind world that this ascension is bringing us into, the age of Aquarius, of individuated success, you are primed to be successful in whatever is soul aligned for you, whatever that is. So the variables of how you increase that within you and fix it on the external world to just keep perfecting, keeping in mind, perfection is never going to be in 100% totality, but it's going to constantly increase you towards your higher ascended nature. And thank you for tuning in, Stephen. If you're still watching, it's because I got the direct connection in for the internet, and there was a whole thing about it. to get it hooked up, and I might have broke the Wi-Fi forever. But the direct line seems to be working better. It's cut out once briefly. But this is just what brought me to the topic of perfecting the self to be ascension. That's what ascension is each and every single one of us advancing the self little bits at a time. Okay, you might have huge dreams. You might want to be a ballet dancer, but you've never even taken a dance class. That's okay. So what are your first steps? Start stretching, start watching YouTube videos to learn, like whatever they might be, because I say that because a lot of us are going to start to have artistic endeavors that come forward for us that you want to put that effort into. Like I make my AI music now because I had this huge art calling, especially to music. But I just, you learn what works for you. And I just don't have any natural music talent. Not really. Like maybe like I'm better than an average Joe, but not like professional quality. But that's okay. Was I willing to give it the time it needed to be a musician? And I actually decided no. And that's not copping out. That's just, I would rather be here doing podcasts, putting my energy into researching the universe, putting my energy, thank you for being here, putting my energy into bringing forth information. I have the archetype of the journalist. Like this just suits me. This fulfills everything. Where at the end of the day, if I sat there practicing guitar for hours and hours and hours, and I finally did get good at it, was that going to fulfill me as much as being here as a teacher? No. So you have to do that as we wiggle through the variables of figuring out your specific ascension success system. You are a system buster. Thank you, Raquel. And I feel like most of my audience are also system busters, because that's exactly it. And that's exactly how we bust the systems, is by coming online as an individuated self, as an individuated source of the divine itself. And that has been given to us in our own blueprints. And we can look into our own psyche with this. And as I'm always saying, ascension and human design, and then even eventually gene keys. But I just feel like I don't know enough about, I've read my gene keys and it's 100% lines up, but I got to perfect the other systems before I move on to another one, because they are going to be what helps us figure out our grids, our matrices, because what's false, what's real. This doesn't mean we become a slave to our astrology either. It just helps. It's like having a counselor that's written in the stars to help you work with, is this going to work for me? Is it not? Like I mention this a lot, so you probably heard it, but in my astrology, it's that interest in all the arts, talent in none. And it's like, oh, ouch. But I use that to help me figure out where I should focus my intention on, because the all is mind. Where our intention goes, our life will go. But we have to be ready for it to be a little step at a time. Like, because I was a very dramatic person, and a lot of us are. Movies teach us to be that way, to expect the biggest love in the world without any work, to expect the best job in the world by just getting a degree, to expect the best vacations with barely any planning or packing or getting passports. These things in our lives do take energy. But like Alan Watts said, that anxiety that's going to come over the planning of these things in our lives is because of our intelligence. This is why the more intelligent a person is, generally you notice their anxiety is huge. And yes, as I said in the beginning, we can fix it with a meditation where you can help to alleviate some of the symptoms of it, but it's still going to be there. It's still good because it's pressure. It's that negative energy, but in a good way, to give us the fuel to keep us moving for the future. Thank you for being here too, Don. And yeah, so this we still haven't paused again, and I'm glad to be here. This was a great topic to talk on, and I have been missing doing solo shows, funny enough, and it's the reason that the internet goes out. And this is why I don't do it so much, because at least if I somebody else to hold down the fort and talk for the poor audience, where if I'm doing an alone show and I go out, well, you just have to sit there and twiddle your thumbs for a couple minutes until I come back. So it hasn't cut out again. I told myself I'd do a 15-minute test, and it's almost the 15-minute mark. It cut out once briefly. So it definitely has it definitely has improved the issue. We'll say that for sure. And I hope this little tidbit of just wisdom has come through, because it's lining up so many different things together. When I heard Alan Watts say that this morning, it just did that's why I love reading, because I can read an entire book and get nothing, or I can read a couple sentences and get the hugest epiphany you could ever imagine. And that was one of them. That was just huge, because this is something that's such an issue right now. Anxiety is such an issue. And we're told, like right in the front of my kids' school, it says, oh, mental health is not a stigma. It's okay. Like they're trying to build this narrative that it's okay to talk about mental health and being mentally sick. It's normal. That's fine. You're mentally sick. Okay, like maybe that's a start. Maybe that's a start, but we're not mentally sick. When you have mental illness, especially if you're talking the other issues like actual depression, which a lot of kids are having, suicidal ideations or hurting themselves, that's not mental illness. That's complete depletion of their soul. And yeah, you can call it mental illness. It is mental illness technically, but not in the way that they try to teach you. Like they try to get, oh, you're just, and again, they're saying all true things, just not enough true things. Oh, it's a chemical imbalance. You just need these pills. Yes, it's a chemical imbalance, but why? Because you are disconnected from your soul. Just like staring straight into the sun, which Raquel can vouch for. We both love sun gazing. It does things to you. It gives you that serotonin you need to uplift the soul, to uplift the spirit. Or Stephen can vouch for Kriya Yoga, because that gives him the energy he needs to keep his systems going. So even in the things that bring us those positive chemicals we need to keep ourselves mentally balanced, that just like our careers is going to look unique for you, whatever works to get you the fuel that you need to push your lives forward. So it's like we are on a very similar trajectory where Age of Aquarius, individuated success, individuated cares, individuated beingness, right? Where we're moving away from that tribal era. It's not like we're not going to have friends and stuff like that, but the group success is going to be a back issue. It all comes down to personal. No longer are people going to be able to throw themselves down for a cause or an organization or whatever they used to do in the past, which you could say had its time and place for building society. But right now we're at an intelligence level to bring ourselves to individuated success. And with things like the internet, that's so extremely possible for us. But if we allow the anxiety that comes with that extra intellect to be the fuel for our systems, then we're going to succeed in our careers, and we're going to succeed in our spiritual evolutions, and we're going to succeed with having mental health. Because mental illness is all a byproduct of being disconnected from the soul, being disconnected from any real form of existence, to having anything tangible to hold on to in your reality. Nothing feels real. Everything feels fake. These children are waking up and knowing this. You know, I said it before, but after 99, 2000 on, they were said to all be positive souls. There shouldn't be any negative souls born from 2000 on. That means we have adults that live in this reality of seeing how horrible everything is. They think about that. Imagine that. All of them. There was the odd, like I was that child at school. And I don't know if it's better or worse. I think it's worse that all of them are like that. All of them. That's very depressing because they're going to fuel each other with that dark energy. I think I was almost better off being the only weirdo, because at least everybody else was happy and I could look at them and like, I don't know, try to like, masking, try to pretend to be like them, which kind of helped and kind of taught me how to be like a person, I guess. I don't know if that's better or worse, but right now what we have is not good in the children's system. If you know the school systems and what's going on, it's not good. I didn't have my mic out this full time, so you can probably barely hear me because I just did not prepare for this. But everything can come down to us going into that Aquarian self and then help the children know the same. If someone wants to pick that up as an individuated mission, I've tried to do it with writing. I can't really teach kid lessons. I'm not that person. Like if you saw me talk to children, I'm like, sup. Like if you're very little, like 4 and under, I'm, oh, you babies. But as soon as you're like 5, 6, 7, I just talk to them like they're adults. So I don't have that. Like I've seen people talk to kids and like they have that, hey there, and they're just really good at it. I don't have that. But we'll see. That's another reason I wanted to learn guitar, because I wanted to bring the message to children in the one. Oh, good. I'm glad you could hear me. Oh, and thank you also for being here, Karen. So we have to find these ways, because saving the children's huge. Can you imagine? I get freaked out by how many autistic kids there's going to be as adults, because like I'm not complaining at all because he's my spiritual boot camp, but imagining like 100 Andrews running down the street like some sort of apocalypse, because they'll be grown men acting like this is just wow. And then imagine all the little kids that are going to be adults. They're depressed at the, I don't like saying the word, but there's a certain thing where the rate started at 8 years old now. That didn't used to be a thing. It used to be the odd tragedy you would just hear about it happening to one teenager in your whole town. Like that's like we had one kid, I didn't know her, my sister knew someone who knew her, and there was one kid. And then later as an adult, I heard about my poor friend's nephew. And then that was kind of it. That's my examples. Now at school, it's a natural occurrence. Like it's a common thread of their reality that will all my friends make it out of school. And now it's not even just high school, now it's elementary school, because there's that much hopelessness in what they perceive as their future, because these beings are naturally very soul inclined, yet everything in their reality is teaching them otherwise. Like you could complain about church and something once upon a time, but at least it gave them something. Even if it wasn't real, the fantasy was better than nothing. Now they literally have nothing, especially because in Canada, like you get 1 or 2 kids, and I'm lucky because in this town it's more than the average. Like it's a kind of a Christian town, but even then it's still barely, you don't hear people talking about it. It's just there's a lot of churches, and it's, you can kind of sense like it's a little bit okay. Like at that Legion thing I went to the other day, I talked about on my last show, they actually did a thing to God, and I was like, what? But I went on the school trip with my daughter, and the school warned the kids that they might be hearing the word God, like a trigger warning. I was like, what? Why are you trigger warning them? They might hear the name God. Like in the school. But it was short. But they somehow think they're offending the children by mentioning God, because they do not have the intelligence, or they're not allowing themselves to access that layer of intelligence, because, as we were saying at the beginning, they've given away their power to their organization. So the school system is its own entity. That one has a huge egregore. Each working like unions, think about like the nurses, the doctors, they all have their own egregores with their own allowed narratives that can be spoken about. So in the teaching one, in the whole school system, it's the EAs, it's the secretaries, it's all of them. God is offensive because they could not just, to me, once I started learning these things, at the minute I started learning these things, it was so obvious that this is all the same God, obviously, with some charlatan characters in the mix, where like some of the time they are channeling actual God. And then other times, no, when you get like a janky sentence in the Bible or any of the books, that didn't come from God, obviously. Gosh, it's so awful how they try to remove spirit from everything when spirit is everywhere and everything. Yes, exactly. And personal responsibility and accountability, 100%, because at the end of the day, we are God. You are God. I am God. The all is mind. So, it was quick. The solution is very clear. And God, whatever you want to call it, is clearly all the same God. There's no need to fight. All the fighting that was ever happening, it's actually kind of hilarious when you know the bigger picture, which for me is obvious. Think because I'm a star seed, and you guys are probably star seeds, and every single child in the school systems today are probably star seeds, because that's just was foretold. That's how we're going to have this 1,000-year progression cycle. It's because they're not letting dark spirits incarnate back in here anymore, and probably why the super evil ones are going nuts trying not to die, because they know they're not going to get to come back, not for 1,000 years. Well, starting in 2000, so the year's 3000. No darkness gets to come back. That's how you know we are guaranteed that this ascension will ultimately win. And right now we're just like circumventing and making sure it goes as smoothly as possible, because this is why I don't necessarily trust older people, even my own age. Like, but somebody 25 years old and under has a good soul. Doesn't mean they're not really messed up, because they did everything in their power to mess up the children. They did a lot of dark stuff to mess up the children. They tried to make them not trust their own bodies, because they didn't understand that a more soulful person, a shaman style person, will be mixed in with genders. They do come out more androgynous. Some are still goddess style and some still are divine masculine. But on the average whole, and I'm one of them, they come out more androgynous. Could you imagine if I was a child today, or like in the school system? I'd be one of them probably, because I was sad, depressed, didn't know what to do, felt like a weirdo, was androgynous. Like, not like, I still liked boys, but I wasn't like the other girls, and that whole narrative, as soon as you get a little bit of doubt in a teenager's mind, or even preteens, they're going real young now, all of a sudden you can start to poison the system, poison the well. And then you keep them too worried about their actual fundamental physical self to even start to question and philosophize. They took out Greek philosophy from the school system a long time ago. And it was Caroline Myss who just brought that to my attention, that that's a tragedy. They stopped teaching us Latin. They stopped teaching us all these things that gave us a base level. And to be fair, they only did that for the wealthy once upon a time, but at least they understood and they knew that that was vital to be a sovereign individual who runs their own life, because it teaches you unique ways to think. And they just don't do that anymore. They teach us facts, teach them. They teach, even when we were in school, they teach us facts. That's it. Even in the university system, because even you used to be able to, in the 60s, to go and learn how to think in the university systems. Not a thing anymore, because they just want us repeating facts. And that is repression and depression. Not good. So I'll end this here and just remind everyone to find your individuated self. Yeah, fake science, 100%. Some of it's like, and they'll sprinkle in like a little bit of truth. Like they'll say something that's true, but they're not giving you the deeper, fuller context at all. It's just mind-boggling, or it is completely false. And then because they limit the information that they can bring out to us, like they're getting to the point where they can't deny quantum physics anymore. Like quantum physics itself was suppressed and denied for a long time. That's sad, and just makes you wonder, what are they doing today? Because this is where we come in, our personal responsibility. This is where it comes in, that we need to learn to live with our anxiety and see it as fuel. And we need to work and never stop pushing to improve in any little way we can think of, any intuitive idea that comes to us to improve. So for me with the internet, I got the new dish. It did make it a lot better, but it wasn't perfect. And then I got the intuition to be like, oh wait, why am I not hardwiring this? There wasn't a way that I thought to hardwire this Starlink, but I looked into it. I found a way. Here we are. I didn't even know what I was doing in the computer, and I might have broke the Wi-Fi forever, but I still succeeded actually with the actual mission of hardwiring it in. Now it just might require it, but it did improve it more. It's improved more. That we have verified. It's only cut out now 3 times, but just for a little bit. But it's much, I can do a little bit. It's much, and then I'll have to watch it back and see how my visual quality is, because once upon a time it was really bad. But whatever it is, that's my thing. That's my thing. That's my journey. For little bits, what's your thing? Where's your journey? Any intuition that comes to you from the divine, find it, listen to it, and find the way you can live it out. And allow the anxiety that might come in during the process, because anxiety is just part of being intelligent. So be proud of your anxiety, because it means you are smart. You can do this. You are capable. Thank you for being here. Goodbye for now, and we'll see you next.